Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is a movie written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, and Quentin Tarantino is my favorite director of all time. I've seen all his movies and I've loved all of them. I loved some more than others, but I loved all his movies all the same. And Pulp Fiction, of all his movies, is my favorite movie ever. Like, of all the movies I've watched, no movie has had the impact in my life or in my movie watching experience like Pulp Fiction. This movie, when I watched this movie for the first time, it was like something I'd never seen before, and that is mainly because it is a very original script and it was written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. So a lot of things that you see here, you will not have seen it anywhere else because it's a very original script, and it was short. It was a long time ago the movie came out. The movie came out in 1994, and I think 1994 was a year when a lot of great movies came out. Movies like Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, The Lion King, movies like that. There are a lot of great movies that came out in that year, and Pulp Fiction was one of them. Pulp Fiction is basically like three different stories, three mini stories intertwined together to form a movie. Like all these stories, they have connections with each other and they make the larger movie. And the writing and the storytelling of this movie is fantastic. The driving force behind this movie, what makes this movie stand out the most, is the dialogue. The dialogue is like not like anything you've ever heard before. Well, if you've watched Quentin Tarantino's movie before, you'd have heard this kind of dialogue before. But the dialogue in this movie is just so good. I watched this movie again recently because I wanted to talk about it, and I just found myself like listening to everything they were saying, and I was like, who comes up with this? This dialogue is just so good. Like, listening to it is just so refreshing. Like, this whole movie is just people talking with each other, people talking, and like there are some scenes that are more that it's not just talking. There are some scenes that are violent and brutal, but the major force, like the major part of this movie, is people talking, and it never feels boring because the way they write the dialogue is just so inventive. The way Quentin Tarantino writes dialogue is so inventive, and you just want to hear what the characters are saying. You want to see what's next or what next is going to happen. Just makes the movie feel so original, like not like any other movie. It makes this movie feel different and stand out. It is so good to hear all those dialogues. And if you know Quentin Tarantino, you know this guy, like his movies are always filled with very good dialogues. And I think of all his movies that had good dialogue, Pulp Fiction is like the one that had the best dialogue ever. Well, I might be biased because Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie, but all the same, the dialogue in this movie is just so good. And I'm emphasizing on the dialogue because that is the main driving force of this movie, and it is just so brilliantly done. Not only the dialogue, there are a lot of characters, like very colorful characters. They are not characters like you might be able to relate to it, or characters or morally right characters, but they are characters that are enjoyable, characters that you love to watch. I think Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, they were like the standouts in this movie for me, because two of them were the most prominent actors. Like, they were ones that were shown throughout, like shown most in the movie. Like some other characters, they only shown once or twice in the movie. But Samuel Jackson and John Travolta, they were shown a lot in the movie, and sometimes it might feel like the movie is their movie. And these guys just really, their performances were so good. I've seen John Travolta in a lot of movies after Pulp Fiction, but the way I saw him in Pulp Fiction, the character I played in Pulp Fiction, like I've not seen him do something like that again. So that character is very memorable. Like the character of John Travolta is very memorable to me because I've not seen John Travolta play that kind of role again, and it was very good to see him do something like that. If you're a fan of Quentin Tarantino, you should know this already. Quentin Tarantino is like a movie maker's movie person. Imagine you know a movie director that is very good at his job. Now imagine that person is looking up to somebody. Like, I am very good at directing, yes, but there's this guy I look up to, and this guy, I've seen all his movies, and this guy is always so good. That's who Quentin Tarantino is. He's a director's director. At least that's what I like to call him. And in his movies, you always know that you find things that always stand out, things that are always very beautiful, like music. And like I said earlier, dialogue is always very constant in these movies. Another thing that's always very constant is music. And the music in this movie, Pulp Fiction, is just wow. Like every song that they play is just so accurate. There's one song I remember that's playing in my head right now. Man, like if I just remember the songs in Pulp Fiction, it just fills my heart with so much joy, because those songs are just so good. I've not heard them before, but when I hear them, in Pulp Fiction and in the context of the scene, man, so brilliant. Like I can keep talking about this movie for days. Like that is how much I love this movie. And I need to say, this movie is very funny. Like not out there funny like that. I think it is more funny now because I have watched it and I've seen like how everything plays out. So when people are saying something, I know what's going to happen. It sounds so much funny. it is more funny than the first time I watched it, and it is like dark comedy. So this movie is very funny, and this movie is very funny, and there are a lot of things to love about it. And like I said earlier, the dialogue is the driving force behind this movie. So if you hear me talking about dialogue over and over again, it's just how good the dialogue is. And speaking of dialogue, there are a lot of quotable lines like, "Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time." That's one of the lines from Pulp Fiction. Man, I love that movie so much. So many quotable lines, just like that one. If I want to keep quoting lines from Pulp Fiction, I could stay here all day. I'm gonna get medieval on your ass. Oh man, I love that movie so much. Everything from the movie is brilliant. Not that the movie is like flawless. It has flaws, and I think the major flaws of the movie are editing issues. Like most of the issues are editing issues. And I think it's because of the time it was shot. It was like, the movie came out, like I said earlier, the movie came out in 1994. So a lot of that, during that time, they might overlook some editing. Like that is the major problem with it. And it's just the editing is only very noticeable in some sense. So if you can just take it away from your mind, like have it at your back of your mind that you just want to enjoy this movie without thinking about the editing, man, you are going to love this movie. Well, this movie is not for everyone. If you are not someone that likes dialogue, if you are someone that likes action and want to see things bang, let's go straight to it, Pulp Fiction is not for you. Like, but if you are someone that likes slow-paced movies that are more about dialogue, people talking to each other, man, I promise you are going to love Pulp Fiction, because I am sure, 100% sure, dialogue you hear in Pulp Fiction is not like any dialogue you hear anywhere else. This movie was so brilliant. The dialogue, the characters, the music, the directing, every fucking thing was so perfect, except maybe the editing. But it's just, like, I'm sure anybody that's watched Pulp Fiction will not even, like, the editing will not mean much to him, because the overall story is even so much better than just the little faults that it had. And that's one of the reasons why Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie ever. I've seen this movie 1,000 times, and if I still watch it tomorrow, I am still going to be excited, and I'm still going to be down to see what happens. Even though I know what happens next, I'm still going to be excited about the movie. That's how much I love Pulp Fiction. That is how good the movie is. I might be biased because I like movies that are much more dialogue driven than action, like movies that are all about action. But I don't think anybody can watch this movie and will feel somehow about it. It might not be your cup of tea, yes, but I'm sure you'll pick a thing or two from this movie. This is a very good movie, and I love Pulp Fiction so much. Like, of all the movies I've watched in this life, Pulp Fiction is my favorite ever. And this is why, because of everything I just talked about in this video. So that's my review on Pulp Fiction. Have you seen Pulp Fiction? What do you think about it? Comment below and let me know. And if this is your first time on my channel, my guy, subscribe for more contents like this. Thank you for sticking to this time. See you in the next video. Cheers.